Way back 2014, I remember sitting in this studio and saying something like that, orphans of the Sahara. And if you are actually a strategic intelligence chieftain who has your head on your shoulders, when you have this kind of overly armed, homeless bandits roaming the Sahara, they even actually are militating to form a country, their own country in the Sahara, which they call Azawad. But something has happened that has kind of scattered that. And now they're looking for anything that pays. Now, match that with our challenges with our borders, match that with our levels of intolerance on the religious level, match that with our political volatility rate, you begin to see work for these guys. So if we did some strategic intelligence analysis and projected, we should have seen that these guys will find work here and they will work for pay. Don't forget, they have no country, so nothing is there or sacred.
So are you convinced that they're the ones?
If you say they're from Libya, that's where my mind goes to. But then, as I told you, you can as well say they're earthlings. What are you doing about it? Wherever they are from, they will hone in on the target first. So you really don't have to go and know where they're from. Just wait for them.
Internally speaking, though, just recently, the security forces carried out a mop-up of weapons across the country, and it was largely successful. And they've been able to gather that much cache of ammunitions and weapons into the government's hand. Do you think that that has really reduced the spate of attacks that we're recording today?
I don't think so. The reason why is this. If I gathered so much ammunition, so much it fills this entire studio, I wouldn't know whether it's much until I actually have a fair knowledge of what the arms proliferation rate is within a fixed period of time. So if we're going to the creeks and the gentlemen in the creeks have decided, okay, we're going to do it your way, we're going to give you our arms, somewhere in your intelligence database, you should have a fair assessment of just about how much weapons are within that area vis-a-vis what you've returned. And then you can say it's much, or there's more work to be done, or something.
You know, if I could also follow up on this, when you talk about this conspiracy of silence, and when we see, you know, political leaders singing from different hymn sheets about what actually is going on, and then you ask yourself, look, we have the DSS, we have the NIA, we have several military intelligence, there are lots of them. And they must be submitting security reports about these things to the president. So, can we really then say we don't know where these people are from?
We know where they're from. We know what they do. It's so loud, it smells. But there is a conspiracy of silence. Let me explain something to you here. Way back when I was in military school, I remembered watching a video footage on NTA News where the then President, General Ibrahim Babangida, had just come in to attend the Supreme Military Council meeting. And there was this very notorious armed robber known as Anini then, Lawrence Anini alias Ovibo. He was, you know what he did, he was just something else then. And as the president walked in, Etim Iang was the Inspector General of Police. And the president stopped, looked at him squarely and said, "Where is Anini?" Less than 2 weeks later, he was caught. Now, let me tell you something, looking back and having my military background. When your commander-in-chief asks you pointedly for that kind of thing, you make sure you don't see him or he doesn't hear about you again until you have results. That does not seem to be the situation today. Be it from the president, be it through the ministers, be it through the service chiefs. That's what excites me when I think about those days. When your commander looks at you and says, "Chamberlain, where is my report?" You just get lost until the report is ready. Get lost means you're going to go in there to ground zero and do what you have to bring that report, which means you hit your desk and grab your pens. We've seen rhetorics. We've seen, what do you call them, high profile, or is it high delegation visits? All of that for me is politics. And that's why I told you security has been ethnicized, it's been politicized, it's been religionized. And the price we're paying for that is hard. Not even within the immediate environment, but globally. Globally, if you do the cost of violence, do the calculation and know how much is being lost, then you add that which is required to stabilize, not even improve, just bring it back to close to what it was before it was destroyed. You will understand why I'm saying it's about results. If you can't give me results, Mr. Security Chieftain, that's okay. But then I have to let you go.
Which we're not doing.
Which we're not doing. We must find a way at the polls to begin to force. I didn't say, I'm not talking about physical force now. I'm talking about soft force. We should begin to force our office holders to give us results. Once results become the bottom line, once results become the measuring tape, you're going to see every other thing fall back into space. You can be my mother's husband. If you don't give me results, I'll have to let you go. That's simple as that.
Do you think that, because drawing from your analogy when you watched that clip on the NTA several years back, and you saw the military junta, that was a military administration at that time, and
yes.
it was acceptable at that time that your commander-in-chief can demand certain things from you. But in a democratic setting, it has other paraphernalias that you must go through a democratic process to have things done. Do you think that the president, or should I say the administration right now, is displaying a sense of military dictatorship in its actions, or is it going the democratic way, or are democratic tenets being eroded?
Let me put it this way. A democracy itself has rights and responsibilities across, from the president to the last Nigerian citizen. Everybody has rights, and those rights come with responsibilities. Okay? Now, the president is not only president. There's something else that follows it, and commander-in-chief. The only difference is the man who was a military dictator was not a president, but he was commander-in-chief. Now, a commander-in-chief has even the leverages again of a president. When I stand before my troops, if I was president, I'm commander-in-chief, and you better get it straight. So when I stand before the hallowed chambers, I'm Mr. President. I have both caps.
Yeah. Give us your impression on this before we wrap this up. Why do you think they're targeting Benue?
That's why I'm saying there's a conspiracy of silence. A conspiracy of silence because it's not the first time. I recall sometime in 2014, April 31st, I had dinner with a very prominent Nigerian citizen. He's still a senator. Benue State was under fire. The Agatus then were taking the flags. Very, very gory situation. And I put a document together which I called, I codenamed it Ochegweba. It's actually meant to tame a shrew. That never saw the light of day. Still never sees the light of day. Look, the problem in Benue State.
Let's go to break, but we'll come back. I'll let you conclude your thoughts on this one. Apologies, sir. We'll be back in a moment.